Hello everyone, I'm Keith, your Rooke products guy and your local rep. Sorry that I can't be with you in Great Falls, Montana, but when we're in person I'll be back to do those in-services. For today we're going to talk in really quick in-service, 5 to 6 minutes, the tips and tricks of making your patients comfortable and compliant while wearing Rooke boots as well as mitts, and also review the indications for use. So when you look at a Rooke boot, 3 primary things that it does. 1, it naturally warms because it's basically a medical grade UGG boot, and consequently you vasodilate and you enhance regional perfusion. Secondly, and I'll show this to you in just a minute, we do an excellent job of offloading and redistributing the pressure off the heel and along the calf so that there aren't any hot spots. And we've done pressure mapping to demonstrate on the 3 main body types, endomorph, mesomorph, and an ectomorph, that you do get that 100% offloading and redistribution of pressure, and great foot drop protection. Your indications for use is that cold mottled foot, your vasopressed patient, your vascular PAD patients, spinal cord injury, and if you've had a recent amputation on one side, putting a Rooke boot on the contralateral limb to protect it are great indications for use. Generally speaking, you're going to put your Rooke boots on bilaterally, and if you've got a patient on pressors, that's where your Rooke mitts are going to come into play, and there's a Velcro strip down the middle so that you can open it up, make sure that their hand is flat, and then close it back up. And you can always do very easy assessments that way. So, all your Rooke boots come with an anti-rotation wedge. Simply tack it on, and if you've got external or internal rotation, that wedge will help keep that limb in position. It's also particularly important if you've got ECMO patients and you want to keep that cannula in position by keeping that leg in the upright, neutral, relaxed position. One size fits just about everyone with your Rooke boots. And the way that you achieve that, do 2 finger spacing, come over the top of the toe, and we can accommodate from a lady's size 6 or a transmet amputation. That's a nice short foot, all the way up to your larger patients, size 16, that way. So you'll open up the boot when you're putting your patient in it. You can see, I hope, that there's a nice cradle to a deep heel cup, and we gently redistribute the pressure along that calf. So be sure to nestle your patient's heel in that heel cup, close the boot with a gentle snug, and then when you're closing up that toe box for the toes, that can be more relaxed. You don't have to put any pressure on that. And then you're already where you are. For your SCDs, I hope you can see this, you've got these slots there. That way you can snake out your SCD lines, lifting it up and off of the foot, and you're not putting any pressure on. I've got this green buttonhole, and I hope you can see my finger wagging at you. That was designed so that you can handle those buckles on those Covidian SCDs. That would then come out in that position. Now, if you're lucky enough to get a patient that complains and says, "Oh my God, I'm so hot, do I have to wear my Rooke boots?" or you sense that they're too warm, indirectly that's a win. They are so well perfused, they're hot, but you still want to keep them comfortable and compliant. So what do? Open up the boot, keep them air conditioned, and they're still offloaded. So that way with the dorsum opened up, it's much more comfortable in those situations where you think they might be too warm. Now with regard to foot drop, we're all about prevention. And if you've got a patient, always check them too. Make sure that they've got range of motion. If they do have range of motion, there isn't anything that you have to do. Just simply set your patient in the Rooke boot because they're preset to be in a relaxed, neutral position. But you may say to me, "Okay, Keith, but what about when I've got high tone or an existing contracture? What do you recommend there?" In those situations, let the boot take the contour of the foot. So let's say they're contracted, and simply bring that foot drop wing back up into position. I want to stress that we're not going to correct an existing contracture. Physical therapists have taught me throughout the years the phrase that tone always wins. So what do I mean by that? If anybody thinks, well, I'm just going to torque up on that patient and I'm going to stretch them out, tone always wins, and they end up pushing themselves out of position and up that cradle, and then you're breaking down the posterior side of the Achilles. And then that's a bad day. We don't like to see that. For your COVID patients that you're proning, so using that 2-finger spacing, we're going to be protecting their toes. Would suggest that you put a pillow on the anterior aspect of that shin, and that'll help minimize the chance that they're going to get some lower extremity wounds while they're being proned. I've got 2 pro tips for you. First one is, if you boost your patient, boost your boots. So what do I mean by that? Whenever you boost your patient, many times they'll drag out of position. So if you boost your boots, if you boost your patient, boost your boots. Open them up, reposition them, put them back in place. The second pro tip is, if the patients are not wearing their Rooke boots, they're not going to get the benefit. So if you see them off on the windowsill or in the corner of the room, be sure to put the Rooke boots back on them. Well, with that, if you have any questions, check with Debbie Lindenfeld, and she can be an excellent resource on how to prevent as well as treat any lower extremity issues that you're encountering. Well, thanks so much for your attention. Hope to see you in person soon. Bye-bye.